So why don't you guys go through and introduce yourselves for anybody that doesn't know who you are. So we did.
I am Allie.
Your team that you're on.
I'm not on TV.
Oh, okay.
I'm an individual.
How long have you been in real estate?
I will be 3 years now.
Awesome. What about you?
Anthony Matarazzo. I've been licensed for 14 years in this market.
Awesome.
Oh, yay.
And Kristin with the
That's right. So I'm Kristin Wilson, the blonde, the original one. There was another one. I've been an agent for 3 years, actually, as of last month, and I am actually with Holly's working company. So Shelly could not be here. She is currently watching her son compete in state for golf.
Which is actually where Patricia is too.
Yes. Yep. So she's on the Bills again. So yeah, I'm representing her today.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. So I did send them some questions ahead of time, so we're going to start going through that. And then, we're here for you. So as we're going through, if anybody out there has any questions for these guys, raise your hand and let's do it. I really want to make sure you're getting a lot of value out of these panels. I know I always love to hear from other fellow agents and what you're experiencing, what you're doing, what you're succeeding at and what you're preparing for. So I'm just so excited we get to share all that with you. So do you want to share if you work mainly with buyers or with sellers?
Yeah, I can start. So I used to be a buyer's agent, so I definitely have a lot of experience with buyers. But since being a solo agent, I've actually worked more with sellers, and I've really appreciated kind of getting to go out on my own and learn so much about that.
Awesome.
I generally work with both buyers and sellers. This year seems to be more buyer heavy, of course, because we have low inventory than sellers. But I work with them all. Sellers is what I prefer. Yep.
I love buyers.
So Shelly is our lead listing agent. I work mainly with buyers, and we're very buyer heavy right now. We're kind of good on listings.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good. So we've got like a good mix going of
Yeah.
perspective, which is awesome. So what is your number one source for lead generation for your business as a whole? Like how are you getting the majority of your clients right now?
So for me, I'm very sphere heavy. I rely on that. I have a lot of first-time home buyers, young and all of that. I also do a ton of networking. Networking is probably my number one source, and I really enjoy that. I'm not somebody who can cold call. I'm not going to search for sell by owners because I kind of focus on rapport building. So that's definitely my case.
Yeah, pretty much to piggyback on what Ali said, 95% of my business is all referrals. Anybody that knows me, I will not pick the phone to cold call a stranger, but I will talk to people in my sphere all day long. They know me. That's really how I built my business. Agent referrals, guys, agent referrals, any agent that gets out of the business, have a relationship with them because they're not selling. If you do a good job for them, they'll refer you out. But that's where all my business comes from.
Awesome.
So same thing. We are Sphere. I do a lot of Facebook referral pieces with just building relationships with other KW agents that are obviously not here in Georgia. So that has served me very well. And then also just agent referrals. So with Shelly being in the business for 25 years, we have quite a few of those that come in from like the South Side, different areas. And then with me joining her team, she's like now hitting those pieces of we can hit up into North Georgia. So it's all referral pieces.
That's great. That's awesome. And I have to say that it's very really refreshing to hear that, right? Because I think that a lot of times the initial trainings that we get in real estate is cold call. So it's nice to hear how other agents are having success besides just cold call, right? And people that love doing it, right? And then why don't you share how you organize your workday? Like what's a typical Monday through Friday or Saturday or whatever your typical workday look like?
Yeah, so for me, I have to get up early. I have to start my day with a workout. It makes me more productive all day long. I don't check emails and I try not to respond to clients until I actually get my day started because otherwise you're starting your day on the offense. Any lead gen or follow-up I have to do, I do first thing and then I try to reserve later in the day for like showings or consults or my closings if I have control over that, just because that's the more mindless almost.
Pretty much the same thing. I try to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, hit the gym when I can, make sure I have my time before I start real estate. It's easy to get yourself involved with real estate right off the bat, but you gotta separate that time. I don't start work until probably about 8 o'clock, and I go till about 8 o'clock at night, and then I cut everything off. Same thing with Allie. All my clients know to communicate with me up until 8 o'clock. If you do, after that, I'll get back to you the next day.
So you set those expectations with your clients
Yes.
up at the beginning, right?
Yes, and I changed my voicemail. I learned a long time ago, for those of you that don't know this, change your voicemail on your phone and set that expectation with your business hours. You will actually train them to know when to call you and when not to call you.
Yeah, and set boundaries with yourself too,
Yeah.
because it's really easy to be negotiating until 10 p.m. and sometimes you have to do what you have to do, but it's really easy to get in the habit of that.
Anybody else find that challenging? No. You ever get really do
So I'm a little bit different because I'm a mom and a wife first, and then I'm an agent. So my day just starts super early, about 5 a.m. of getting the kids ready for the day. By 8 o'clock, I'm dropping them off at school. From 8 to about 9 or 9:30, I like to go for a walk or just kind of have my me time. Then I get ready, and then it really just depends because on how I schedule it when I start my day. But so from there, then it's lead gen, any kind of meetings, and then the afternoon comes showings. And I am up sometimes until midnight working. But I also have a non-negotiable of the fact that if I don't have showings, I have my family time. So I cook dinner, do bedtime, do all the mom stuff, and then I'll pick right back up. It's not unheard of to get a message from me. David Fox will tell you. And I do not expect a reply, but it's just I'm working at that moment. And so I get it. It's when I have the time to do it. So it just depends on, and then I schedule things around my kids' different performances, which I found doing this job amazing for that.
That's what I was gonna say. I think that's the best thing about our
Yeah.
careers. We have that flexibility.
Flexibility.
You can, no secret, if you're friends with me on Facebook, I like to travel. We can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that.
Yeah. It's nice, as getting back to what Kristin said, I'm 50% caretaker for my folks. So I'm not here 2 days a week because I'm focused on taking care of them and their well-being. Both of my parents have various medical issues. So that's part of my responsibility on top of running a real estate business and everything else that I have going on. So balance all that out. You just gotta put it on the calendar and figure it all out and just make it happen.
Yeah, when I got into real estate, my mentor at the time told me, no matter what is happening, if you're a family event, kids sporting event, whatever it is, when you're doing whatever, it's an appointment, right? Oh, I'm so sorry, I have another, they don't know that that appointment is with your family, or even with yourself sometimes, right? Permission to take appointments for yourself, that's what you tell them, I'm so sorry, I'm on an appointment that time, right? And that's how you build those boundaries with your clients, and you set up those expectations with them, super, super important.
That's so true because the appointment piece, I used to not say that in the beginning.
Yeah.
And now I always say it. Like I had a client try to schedule something tomorrow. I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry, I have an appointment. My appointment is not here.
It's an appointment.
Do they know that?
No, they have no idea.
But
They don't have to know that.
no.
We have so many things that we're juggling, our life balance and real estate. We have to just do what we need to do and have those appointments for ourselves.
Yeah, and we work on weekends and holidays.
Yeah.
So you're working 7 days a week. So if your Monday is a half day, your Tuesday is a half day, there's
And don't feel guilty about taking a half day off or specifying a specific day that you are not going to conduct real estate business. They don't know the difference. You have to do it.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the market. Do you feel that it is the same now as it was 6 months ago?
That's a loaded question.
And if not, how have you adjusted the way you do things, either on a daily basis or the conversations around what that you're having with your clients right now?
Yeah, so obviously no secret. We're in the obviously we're seeing the listings are no longer selling themselves. I think we're kind of just getting back to the basics in terms of any lead gen that we're doing. When they were selling themselves and you were getting 50 offers, you didn't have to host open a house and you didn't have to do all the advertisements around it. But you just have to shift it, and for me, I think it's just been shifting back more to the basics.
Yeah, that's what I find as well. And having a plan of how you're going to market a listing and just honestly letting our clients know what's going on in the market. They appreciate that because we do this every day. They don't do this every day, so they don't understand. They just understand what they see on the news and on social media. We're in the nuts and bolts of it every single day, almost 12 to 20 hours a day, getting to know what's going on.
So what is your conversation around, like, what conversations are you having with sellers right now?
Depending on their price point, obviously, I let them know that location, price, obviously, and condition of the house. I give them the real life scenarios that as long as you meet those 3 criteria, your house will sell fairly quickly. But if you don't, you run the risk of it staying on the market long, obviously. And the market has changed because we don't have as many buyers that are qualified what they used to be 6 months ago because of the interest rate. There's so much that is a factor in a seller getting what they want. Just because your house you think is worth $500,000 doesn't mean tomorrow's buyer is qualified for $500,000. You know, so I try to keep it real with all of my clients, let them know exactly what's going on.
Kristin, what conversations are you having with buyers right
Well, I was gonna say, my opinion on like the market is like a yes or a no. It just really depends on like what pocket you're in, because like if you're still for me with buyers, if you're still 400, even 450 below, we're getting killed, even with like some cash buyers that I have that are well qualified and can do whatever, and we're still getting beat out with, if I'm like, how many offers you want to make? Well, 10. I'm like, oh my God. But then you have where we had a listing go live at 850, had 3 showings. So definitely I think price point pocket, but around the buyers is I'm just letting them know, hey, we're still in a very challenging market. Number one, because we learned this the hard way, I did not have, when the rates shifted, I did not have my buyers take a look at that. And so when we went under contract, they were what, 4.8? Is that right? I think it was 4.8. And John was like, I think it was like, hey, baby, come on. 4.8 to 5.5, and they priced themselves out. We had to terminate.
Yeah, every property is different. I mean, I put 2 listings on the market the same exact day. One was in tip-top condition. I had 20 showings and 6 offers, and it was just under $400,000. And then I had another one that was a little bit older, needs some work, and I had 2 showings and no offers. And so you have no idea what the market is going to do. You just have to just go with your gut and just go back to basics. Because in the 14 years, nothing's really changed. This is the way the market is. Every year it's different. And it's pretty much certain things are consistent all around.
Where do you see the market going for the rest of this year? I mean, because we have a crystal ball.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
start with, an agent's rate for
Stephie's Yeah, exactly.
You can sign up.
Totally. But when somebody asks you that, what do you tell
Yeah,
them?
I start with, obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I do foresee it balancing out. I don't think we're gonna hit this significant price drop that, every buyer wants there to be. With interest rates increasing, the supply and demand is evening out. I don't think it's gonna be anything too crazy. I think it's just gonna balance out a little bit.
Yeah. And I think I agree with Allie. We have to see some sort of balance. And the most important thing is to educate our sellers and our buyers about what's going on with the investors. Because the investors are making it that much more difficult. And if we don't educate them on what's going on, it's going to make our jobs that much harder because they're going to they only see one side of it. How quick can I get this house closed? How much money can I make? And let's go. Education.
What do you tell them?
I wish I had a crystal ball. I'd be a millionaire.
I tell them that too.
I mean,
Yeah.
But where will you
That's
be?
your favorite
Yeah,
list tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. I mean, I definitely feel like it's gonna kind of balance out like they
Yeah.
said. I mean, especially with the rates changing.
I would say, are you talking to your buyers a lot more about rates right now?
Yes, a lot about rates, and even also letting them know, hey, because I've had multiple buyers say, oh, it's 5.5, and I'm like, it was 5.5 before we hit COVID.
Mhm.
So, I mean, this isn't crazy, these aren't crazy rates, I've heard, I don't think I was born yet, but when rates were like 18%.
Bought a house that I got a loan shark. I got it loaning the money.
So I mean, still just having the conversation, these rates are still amazing. Yes, is it changing your buying power a little bit more for sure?
Yeah.
I think some of the biggest challenges with the buyers right now for me has been the first time home buyers that are like, yes, we're gonna buy a house, and then they get
NDA
really
Yeah.
emotionally attached
Yeah.
to it, and they get heartbroken. And I tell them all the time, this is a business transaction, you have got to throw emotion to the wind. We can get emotional.
I tell all my clients, whether you're a buyer or seller, we have to play the game that we're in right now. Let's see what we can do the main objective is to get us to closing. Whether you're a seller or a buyer, we gotta play the game. It's just what we gotta do.
And what if they say, well, I'm not gonna do that game, I'm just gonna wait?
You know what, that's a good question, Sandy. I have
We
been,
hear that all the time.
You do hear it all the time.
Wait.
I have been blessed that I have not even heard that yet.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say, if somebody says right now they wanna wait, is everything's trending upwards, and imagine what would have happened if you bought not only 6 months ago, but when COVID started, that was the best time to buy. No competition. Exactly.
Last year.
Yeah, the best time to buy a house was always yesterday, so. Yeah.
I think it's also asking them, I'm curious, what are you waiting for? Like,
Oh, yeah.
because if you don't know what they're waiting for, you're never gonna be able to present something to them for a solution or get inside their head. You have no idea what they're waiting for.
They're waiting for the market to crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that comes up a lot because I was in real estate when the market crashed. Yumiki was in the market. It was horrible. Sandy was there. It was horrible. And just being real with them and letting them know we are not going back to 2008, 2009, and
And I have
2010.
saying that
There's too much
times.
Yeah.
The last 4 months, I'm good.
Yeah, there's so much that's changed. Oh, there's so much that's changed over the years, and the lenders are not gonna allow that to happen again because it's just.
Because it hurt them more than anyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, they're probably saying to you, like, well, you just wanna make a sale, right, as an agent,
So
so.
that's what they think.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's about earning their trust and having that, and having the conversation, and there's gonna be some people you're never gonna change their mind,
Right.
right? It's just, that's what they believe, and that's what it is, and you just, nothing you can say is gonna change their mind. So getting deep to the motivation of, well, why did you wanna buy a house in the first place? I think that could really help.
I think that's the biggest problem that we do when we have someone objective, we want to give them a solution right away instead of understanding what their objective is about.
Yeah,
Figuring out their meaning behind it, because half the time they're gonna tell you how to solve it anyways.
right.
They talk themselves into the answer.
That's very true.
Piggybacking off of that, something that kind of like we're implementing and shifting in our business is on our buyer consult. Like, it's literally questions of fear. Like fear questions, and saying the word fear, because fear is very powerful. And then going back to what does fear stand for? And doing that for buyer.
What was that?
False evidence of hearing real.
Correct, false evidence of hearing real. And giving them that so that we can go through this, because I mean, there's not a whole bunch of fear questions necessarily. I'm working on all of them, but having those and just asking those questions at the buyer consult, because it's kind of preparing them for what they might experience versus it all just kind of getting them. And again, I mean, that's just going on kind of questions with your client and learning your client, but just addressing that. Because I mean, a lot of people, they work off fear, whether they realize it or not.
People will run away from fear more than they'll run towards pleasure.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We learned that in bold.
Wear the bold t-shirt. All right, so just to wrap up, that kind of brought us down. Let's celebrate a little bit. Why don't you guys share a big win you've had in your business recently?
My biggest win, I think, is having the confidence to become an individual agent. And I don't know if anyone here is struggling with that, but in general, if you're a new agent, have the confidence to get out there, ask questions if you need to, and just go for it, because you'll only regret not doing it sooner.
And my biggest win is I got my first FHA buyer under contract last night at 9:30. I know. It's huge. In a crazy market like this. Yeah.
David, after like 5 months.
Yeah. And this literally was the first house I showed her.
Yay.
Wow.
And it's a miracle. So
Every
we're
once in a while,
all.
we need those wins, right?
Yes, we do.
What about you?
So, that one, I don't know, I had to reflect on that a lot. I don't even really have an answer because like. Everything feels like a big one. Right?
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
right.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't know, we love what we do and where we're at and just, I mean, it's all just, it's just a blessing, you know?
Well, thank you. Give these guys a round of applause.